Our closer look now at a crisis on campus.
The nationwide outcry about sexual assault on college campuses.
The White House announced today it's taking steps to reduce sexual assaults.
Sexual assault
On college campuses.
College campuses across the country are increasingly in the spotlight for sexual assaults on students.
Colleges and universities can no longer turn a blind eye.
Time magazine reports this week that nearly 1 in 5
collegiate women falls victim to sexual assault.
Dealing with sexual assault is the collective responsibility of all of us.
These two young men that had such promising futures, star football players, very good students, literally watched as they believed their life fell apart. One of the young men, Malik Richmond, when that sentence came down, he collapsed. He collapsed in the arms of his attorney, Walter Madison. He said to him, "My life is over. No one is going to want me now." Very serious crime here. Both found guilty of raping the 16-year-old girl at a series of parties back in August. Alcohol-fueled parties. Alcohol, a huge part in this. But Trent Mays was also found guilty on a second count, and that is of felony illegal use of a minor in nudity-oriented material because he took a photograph of the victim laying naked on the floor that night. Trent Mays will serve 2 years in a juvenile detention facility. Malik Richmond will serve 1 year on that one count that he was...
Sexual assault would be anything that's unwanted. Anything.
It ranges from sexual harassment to sexual molestation to sexual abuse to attempted sexual assault, sexual touching against someone's will, to penetration.
I would define sexual assault as somebody doing something sexually to someone else where that person did not want it to happen or doesn't want it to happen.
Unfortunately, we do know a lot of high school students are struggling with sexual assault. The only person who can really prevent the sexual assault is the perpetrator themselves.
But when they get away with it and in their own psyche you think like, no, the arrogance, the narcissism, I can get what I want. I deserve this. She wanted it. You talk to a rapist and it's amazing their denial. No. She came on to me and it has nothing to do with that. She said no and you didn't listen. You raped her.
What makes the biggest difference is whether or not students understand a thing that we call bystander intervention. When you see red flags or warning signs within your interpersonal relationships. For example, if you see somebody dragging somebody who's clearly too drunk or too inebriated into a bedroom and closing the door behind the two of them. Or somebody who refuses to respect another person's personal boundaries. For example, your friend keeps asking somebody to stop touching them, but they keep coming up and doing it anyway. Or somebody pressuring another person to drink alcohol and putting their hands on them or something like that, or being very suggestive, and you know that your friend or this other person doesn't want it.
I'm gonna go home. Can we go home? Yeah, okay.
I've had kids tell me that parties have gotten out of control and they've seen things go on.
Things happen.
I'd see most cases go unreported.
I don't think some people report it when it happens to them because they're worried about how it's going to make them look. So there's a big shame factor. What happens if mom and dad find out that I was in this situation?
They believe that if they disclose too much, that word about what happened is going to get home before they do. Most victims go to their grave with their secret and share it with no one.
Staples High School is an excellent school, for the most part a very healthy bringing stuff that's not right or not good or not working to the forefront may not be so popular.
And I also think that, you know, the lack of comfort is somewhat debilitating.
But oftentimes we hear that there's a fear of how will this look for my college admissions? So especially for women or girls.
The old male myths that, you know, girls are sending the message that they want it, and hey, what are we supposed to do?
Once the next day rolls around, they may think that, oh, I was drunk, or I was stoned, or I was whatever.
People are worried, did I do something to warrant this, or are people going to think that that's the case?
Let me just forget about it because maybe it was my fault.
The real problem with not using an outside service like ours is that health instructors have to teach such a wide array of material to their students that, you know, they can't be expected to have all of the firsthand experiences and, you know, case examples and stories and statistics that we have, because we deal in this every single day as our full-time job. So we find it's very beneficial to have an outsider like us come in and talk to students because they get that breadth of knowledge, and also because then they understand that there is this community organization, you know, right here in their, you know, town or within driving distance of their town that offers these services.
Having an outside person here does bring in kids who are worried about telling guidance counselors and social workers for whatever the reason.
Myself and the other educator that works here go around to many of the elementary, middle, and high schools within Lower Fairfield County and provide free educational programs on the issues of sexual harassment, sexual assault.
And as a visitor from the outside, coming in as a counselor, you got a lot of disclosures. Sometimes that outside person just feels more comfortable because they know it's an in right there to what to do, and it's cathartic to talk about it with someone who's an expert on it.
The outreach counselor is a counselor that works in the school, but I don't work for the school, and that allows me to provide confidential support to students here, confidential from other school personnel and from moms and dads.
It really depends on the priorities of the administration. We have been in many schools that take a very active, directive approach. They, you know, own the issue as something that they need to address, and they do their best to address it with their students. We've seen other schools, unfortunately, that don't seem to make it as much of a priority.
Situations obviously depends on like whether or not you know the people involved in the potential assault, or if like they're complete strangers, if there's alcohol or drugs involved. But the intervention workshops focus on like all of these different things that you can do, and they've actually at a lot of universities they've been really successful. So I think that that's definitely a great way to teach people how to intervene. Some of the strategies that like people who facilitate these workshops suggest you use are like going over to someone who looks uncomfortable, like maybe really intoxicated, and asking them if like they want to come get a drink of water with you.
I think, you know, all the efforts that are made right now, I think even more have to be done. You know, you can't have stuff like this happen because there's some serious long-term effects to for the victim to suffer. And if you don't do anything, then the person that's done the wrongdoing is out there and can keep doing it.
It is our hope that by providing that education, we can see the prevalence of this issue in society go down as awareness of it goes up. Recent statistics show that about 1 in 4 women and about 1 in 10 boys will be victims of sexual assault within their lifetime. It transcends socioeconomical and cultural backgrounds, which means it's not happening in one community any more than another. But what we see sometimes is pushback from different communities saying, well, maybe it doesn't happen as much here. Maybe we don't need these programs as much as other schools do. I can recall many times in my short career here where I've witnessed these programs touching students' lives, making changes for the better. I've seen students take inspiration from the messages we offer and find the strength and the resources to make a big change and stand up to something that's going on in their personal life. And so we'd like to see more school systems really embracing our message and understanding that this is not an issue they need to run from, but rather one they need to face head on, and the best way to do that is through education.
3 years ago, we sent every school district, college, and university that receives federal funding new instructions clarifying their legal obligations to prevent and respond to sexual assault.
This College Sexual Assault Bill of Rights, you're proposing this for students to reduce sexual assaults on campus. It comes after the Obama administration reported earlier this month that 55 colleges are under review for their handling of sexual violence claims. Tell us about your bill. Tell us why it's needed.
The reason why this issue is so urgent is that 1 in 5 women attending college are sexually assaulted. Only about 12% report. I am proposing a Bill of Rights that will encourage better disciplinary measures and prosecutions, but also not merely punishing, but also preventing sexual assault. The right to a vigorous and prompt investigation with confidentiality. These Bill of Rights will encourage trust, encourage more reporting, and the resounding cry in Connecticut through the 7 roundtables that I've conducted across the state is better rights, more robust programs, including more funding for coordinators who can change the culture so we stop blaming the survivor for what she was wearing, whether she was drinking, where she went, who she was with.
You guys are tackling a big thing here.
Yeah.
Does it happen at parties?
Yeah.